If you spent your morning just staring at a loading screen, absolutely convinced your internet had given up on you, well, take a deep breath. You definitely weren't alone. Today, a huge chunk of the web just stopped working. And we're going to break down exactly why that happened. So, what was the deal? Was it your router, your Wi Fi? Nope. That feeling of being totally cut off, that endless spinning wheel on your favorite sites and apps, that was a global thing. It hit millions of people, from folks just scrolling social media to major corporations trying to get work done. And here's the fascinating part, or maybe the slightly terrifying part. It all seems to trace back to just one single company doing something as normal as scheduled maintenance. How does that even happen? Okay, let's dive in and unpack how one routine event can cause such a massive, massive ripple effect. All right, first step, today's internet hiccup. Before we get into the why, let's just get on the same page about the what. The specific symptoms that told us this was way more than just a small glitch. All over the world, people were reporting the exact same things. Websites just failing to load, everything feeling like it was moving through molasses, and error messages popping up left and right. Even the APIs, those are the digital messengers that let our apps talk to each other, they just went silent. If this sounds like your morning, you are literally watching a major piece of internet infrastructure fail in real time. So, this brings us to the main character in today's story, a company called Cloudflare. Now, you may not have heard of them, but I can pretty much guarantee you use their services every single day, probably without even realizing it. To put it simply, Cloudflare sits right in between you and the websites you visit. It's a service that helps websites load way faster, protects them from attacks, and just generally keeps them stable. You know, that analogy of an internet traffic cop and a digital bodyguard? It's pretty much perfect. They manage all the data traffic and fight off any digital bad guys. And here is the number that explains everything. Over 20%. More than a fifth of the entire internet relies on Cloudflare. Just let that sink in for a second. This is exactly why a problem at just one company can feel like the whole digital world is completely falling apart. So how do they do all this? Well, they wear a bunch of different hats. They act as a content delivery network, or CDN, which basically just stores copies of websites closer to you so they load faster. They're a DNS provider. Think of that as the internet's phone book, translating website names into actual addresses. They provide that supercritical security layer against attacks, and they run a massive edge computing network to process data faster. All this just means they are woven deep into the fabric of the modern web. Okay, so let's talk about the ripple effect. Let's connect the dots between what Cloudflare was doing behind the scenes and what you were actually seeing on your screen. If you look at the timeline, it tells a pretty clear story. Early this morning, the reports started flooding in from users just like you. A little while later, Cloudflare's own status page showed that, yep, scheduled maintenance was happening. And then, like clockwork, the global monitoring tools confirmed it. Internet uptime was taking a huge dive, right in that same time window. That timing is no coincidence. This isn't the first time Cloudflare's had an outage, but this one feels different. A previous incident was because of a bug in a specific software feature. Today's symptoms, though, they're pointing to something much more fundamental, a disruption at the core network level, the very foundation of their service, that seems to have happened during that maintenance. And for businesses, man, the impact was immediate and just painful. We're not just talking about slow websites here. We're talking complete downtime, critical APIs failing, customers not being able to log in, and apps just throwing up constant errors. This is the real-world dollars and cents cost of an outage like this. So, if you're one of those people running a website or an app that got hit today, what should you actually be doing right now? Here's a quick, practical 5-step checklist to help you navigate this whole mess. Okay, let's break this down. First up, get the official story. Bookmark Cloudflare's status page. Second, do a quick sanity check of your own settings just in case. Third, if you have a backup DNS provider, now is the time to switch it on. Fourth, and this one is so important, talk to your customers. A quick update prevents a whole lot of panic and support tickets. And finally, document everything. You'll want a crystal clear record of what happened and when for your own reports later. All right, let's zoom out for a second. This whole event isn't just some technical glitch. It's a pretty stark reminder of a much bigger conversation we need to be having about the structure of the internet itself and the risk that comes with a centralized web. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Look, we've ended up with this model for some really good reasons. Services like Cloudflare offer incredible speed and security that's almost impossible to do on your own. But today really highlights the trade-off. We've put a massive amount of trust and reliance on just a handful of big companies to keep the internet running for literally everyone. And so, this whole thing really leaves us with one critical question. As the internet keeps getting more and more centralized around just a few key players, what happens when one of them stumbles? Today was a hiccup. A big one, for sure, but still a hiccup. And it really forces us all to ask, what's our plan B?